Boom! Welcome, insiders. This is going to be an episode here about TBIs. I'm here with Coach Eddie Javaria. We
Hey,
will just take a few minutes and welcome people as they come in, give everyone time to get in, get settled before we start the conversation. If you would, give us a shout out, tell us who you are, where you're from, where you served, all those good things. Hey, welcome, Tony. Welcome to the program. Look forward to seeing your progress. Make sure to check your emails on a regular basis. Don Lombard, USMC, 74 to 90. We are super excited. We're new platform rolled out today. Make great flow for the veterans. Easy access to all their information, their coach, communications, the works.
yeah, it's pretty intuitive for sure. Hopefully, everybody gets a chance to experience that in the premiere program.
Thank you for your service, Tony. Yeah, I would. Makes me want to go back and be a client again, just to get that new portal experience.
Right? Yeah,
I don't think I want to go back to being under 100% though. I think I'll just stick right where I'm at on that. So,
yeah. I'm still on that journey.
Albert Griffin, Vietnam, 67 to 71. Those are some hard years, brother. Thank you for your service. Welcome home.
You got a pretty good topic today, huh, Donnie?
Yes, sir. I'm pretty excited about it. It's one that near and dear to me. I've been down that road, that process. It's not an
Hmm.
easy one. It is
And you've
definitely.
had a lot of success too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was lucky enough to get a good rating and you know uh, able to share that information with everybody else.
Definitely. Yeah. Hopefully, there's more people joining in. Let us know where you're dialing in from, where you're coming in from. Ryan, I see you. U.S. Air Force. Thank you for your service. Nice, Kuwait guitar. All right, Donnie. I
There we
think
go.
uh, I think I'm gonna go ahead and start with kind of introducing myself a little bit. So hey everybody, my name is Coach Eddie. I've been with VACI approximately a year and a half or so. Definitely learned a lot. I've had a lot of good experiences with fellow veterans uh, in their path. Um, my past, I was in the Army active from 2000 to 2004. Was deployed to Iraq as an MP. Got back and joined the Guard. Was able to go warrant officer and was able to fly a couple aircraft. After that, I had a couple injuries, um, and like everybody else, right? I got out. Didn't really know what was what as far as the VA process. Did some stuff on my own. Had little success, but didn't realize that there was a lot more out there for me to get. Um, and I became a client here and was able to get that success and still progressing. So can't wait to talk to everybody about this topic today.
Then I'm senior veteran coach Donnie Witten. I started my journey in the Army. Was in the Army from 99 to '06. Uh, Part of the invasion force in Iraq in '03. Um, Bosnia, Kosovo. Um, and when I got out, I, just like everyone else, got denied. And I got my first service connection. Well, my very first one was in, I think, 0.80% for my ankle. And then my next one came in like 2013, 30%. That time, though, I started working in higher education, in veteran services, the school certifying official, helping people with their education benefits, their claims, and um, run a program where we had peer advisors that we would partner with veterans and help them get through the whole education process to degree completion. And that's when I started learning how to read CFR and learning the ins and outs of the VA. And I had a VSO and his all his wisdom tell me that once I was at 70%, that that's as high as I should go and I should be happy. And I said, I don't believe that's true based on what I've read in the CFR. And I reached out to VA claims insiders and started walking that path with them and uh, became 100% permanent total. And then I said I wanted to help other people the way VA claims insiders has helped me, and it was a really good parallel to what I did in higher education. So, walking them through that education process for education benefits. And so I came over as a coach and then a senior coach, and been here ever since. And I love what I do. Love helping vets, and I I like seeing people get what they deserve, and despite the obstacles they meet along the way from the VA.
Definitely. Yeah, and you touched on a couple good things there. One of them definitely what we are, right? We do the SEAM method, strategy, education, and then that medical evidence, right? You do that one-on-one coaching in the elite program. You get your education and medical documentation if needed, and then we kind of coach you through. Make sure you're prepared for every step, and then go from strategy to submit, and then from there, right? We don't quit. If something doesn't go right, uh, we don't give up, right? We see what the issues are, we see what the denials are, and we do some more strategy, right? So it's always pertinent to not give up, especially if you know you deserve it. We're here for you, definitely.
Eddie really hit on it. It's that developing that strategy, getting your education, and making sure you have the proper medical evidence, and that's the best recipe for winning that claim. Um, you know, at the end of the day, we're here to change lives. We want to uh, help you get through your process because that's what it is. It's a life change. Getting the compensation you deserve means that you probably have now started getting treatment and care that you deserve. Um, and it changes not only your life, it changes the life of your dependents, and for years to come, the education benefits, all the things that come along with that. Um, it really is a life change, and we'll start getting into our topic a little bit more. But if you need some life change, we'll be putting that sign up down there at the bottom routinely throughout this process.
Definitely. So yeah, let's start with talking about TBI. I know it's a very intricate and sometimes confusing process, Donnie. Right? And like you said, you are very intimate with it, and you did a lot of research to get where you are. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I think one of the largest problems veterans run into when they start to work a TBI claim, they just they just fill out a claim. Like, hey, I'm claiming traumatic brain injury, and well, why? Well, because I was an IED strike in '03, or um, I caught a picket pounder in my head in '07, or car crash, and that's that's great. That's an in-service event. Hopefully, that's documented. But you got to go to the doctor and get a diagnosis now. You got to get treated for your TBI. Someone has to establish that there is a current condition, and that's really where you need to start in that claims process. Go to the doctor. Um, And that's something you can go to the VA and talk to your primary care. Say, hey, I want to get seen for traumatic brain injury. Um, I know I was blown up and I've had these problems, and uh, that's really the best way to start that claims process.
Yeah, and a lot of people ask, is TBI, the actual TBI, a percentage of what you get, right? TBI is actually not. It's the residuals, right? And a lot of people don't understand that, and it does get a little bit confusing when it comes to what are residuals to TBI. But there are lots of resources out there. One of them that I use, especially to get some information, is the Military Disability Made Easy (MDME). Has a lot of good information in there. Um, I was able to look at the specifics of everything, residual type of TBI symptoms, and it breaks it down so that you can understand it. Um, so I don't know if you want to maybe talk a little bit about that, Donnie, about how to explain the residuals or how to go about understanding those.
Yeah, absolutely. So it just to recap on what Eddie said, that military disability made easy is going to be a valuable tool through your TBI process. I would guarantee that your coach is going to be looking at that also when they're doing your process, because TBI is the most complex rating system in the VA period. And uh, I have a wealth of information of it stored in here, but I always look at uh, military disability made easy when I'm talking about the symptoms and the residuals, because you don't want to leave anything out. You want to be thorough. And so the TBI, the way it's assessed, they will one assess the initial um, impact, the trauma that caused the injury, and they will give that a scale. But I won't talk too much on that because that doesn't really play into the rating system at all. The They go straight into three different categories, right? And there's like the physiological, um, there's basically the mental or behavioral, and then like the residual. So uh, sometimes you will see the TBI rating combined with your mental health rating, and it just comes out to one overall rating. And when that happens, that's because the you didn't express symptoms that were outside of the symptoms covered in mental health. And that's one of those things that working with the coach is really key on, because you can start looking at conditions that could be related to TBI that are outside of the mental health and other symptoms. So if you and your coach identify these things, then you can then outline those during your exams, um, and prepare those conditions. So I always say that when you're preparing a TBI claim, you're not just preparing a claim for one condition, it's going to be multiple conditions, and you want to be prepared for those. And really, that's where a coach is key, because you can identify what conditions are going to be part of this process, and then outline the strategy, the education, and the medical evidence for each one of those conditions. Because when you open the TBI claim and you're prepared for this, they will open these other conditions as well. A common one is headaches. Um, Tinnitus, if not already service connected, is commonly associated with TBI. Uh, you know, Vertigo. The list just goes on, and you really don't know what you don't know. But having a seasoned coach who's been in that process can help you identify those things. Um, Now, also, after you have a diagnosis, just like most other claims, you're going to need a medical nexus. You got to complete that Kaluza triangle, and uh, your coach can help point you in the right direction by identifying what elements of service connection you have already and what else you need to go get.
Right. And then I wanted to touch really quick before I forget. You mentioned something about mental health and some of those symptoms being related and combined with the TBI. I wanted to talk a little bit about pyramiding, right? So that's that situation, right? So you can only claim one uh, symptom or diagnosis for one claim, right? So if the symptoms and effects of TBI mirror the mental health, that's where you're going to get that type of uh, rating. So I just wanted to touch on that and mention the pyramiding aspect, and that's why it kind of affects it in that manner. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Donnie, but
Yeah, absolutely. So as Coach Eddie said, we cannot be rated multiple times for the same symptom, right? So say uh, you are rated for memory loss under mental health, you're not going to get a separate rating for memory loss on another condition. Okay, uh, that's going to be all factored into that mental health. And that's why sometimes the TBI is combined and sometimes separated. So one of the things of TBI is they have the symptoms that are of TBI, and then it's oftentimes called residuals, and there's the secondary conditions. So what they look at is they assign each of those residuals a number, you know, 0 through 4, 4 being 100%, and you know, like 1 is 10%, right? So the you can have 10% all under that TBI claim, and you only get a single 10%. Or if you have, you know, two of those that come out at 30, you only get 30%. Now, the way it breaks off is if the condition would be rated higher on its own. So headaches max out inside of TBI at 10%. But if headaches on their own would warrant a 30% or 50% rating, then you'll see it break off as a secondary condition and they'll receive their own separate ratings. And that's how you really maximize on that and know how to speak to those symptoms and knowing, um, getting educated on what where your symptoms align in the rating system. Working with your coach uh, and identifying that, and that's how you know if you're underrated too.
so I have a question for you, Donnie, that and I know the answer, but I wanted to put it out there because I know a lot of veterans ask this. So TBI, the symptoms, do they have to be immediately after, or can it be appear years later and still have it uh, count towards your symptoms?
Yeah, so some symptoms are immediately after, um, but there are a large number of those that don't take effect till years down the road. There are a lot of things that people don't realize are associated with their TBI. You pee all the time, or sometimes like have hard time controlling. Um, you can hold it, right? That's called neurologic bladder, something that most people don't realize is part of their TBI. That's something that does not necessarily occur right away. That can occur years down the road. Early onset dementia is another huge problem. If you're 100% and get TBI and then need to receive aid and attendance because of TBI, you will then qualify for what they call SMCT. SMC is special monthly compensation, T for TBI. Uh, and essentially, it's like $9,000 a month as opposed to the normal 100% rating. Uh, that is not a goal to have. I don't want to require aid and attendance. But if you have a TBI and you get in that predicament, it's really nice to have those resources to maintain your care. David White, when VA outsourced me for my TBI exam, doctor would not listen to anything I had to say. When all was said and done, I was rated 0% for migraines, but service connected. Well, David, if you got the service connection for TBI and for migraines, um, that's a win because then you can do an increase. You know, you get with your coach, do an increase on that, and you can get the compensation, the rating that you deserve. The coming back with a service connection is always a win, even if you're underrated. That's a win, right, Eddie?
Definitely, yeah, because you can always go back and state your case on how you fit certain criteria afterwards, for sure, and build that medical evidence also, because a lot of times that's what's needed is that medical evidence to be built up to have them understand that you're at that certain percentage, which is that increased one, for sure.
So Ryan Vigil says they mix TBI in with PTSD, don't they? Again, this goes back to that pyramiding that Eddie was talking about, right? So if the only symptoms you have of TBI fall under the mental health spectrum, then they will combine those for a single rating. If you have symptoms warrant outside of that, it's possible to get separate ratings from those conditions. Erica Gilmore asks, are concussions considered TBI? So, yes and no. A concussion would be the in service event or stressor, right? So, all claims have three requirements: the in service event or stressor, the current diagnosis, and then the nexus. And the nexus is just a fancy word for connection. And that means that one is bridging to the other, right? So, I think about it as a bridge and two pieces of land. So, you have to have an in service event and a current diagnosis before you can have a nexus, and then that nexus bridges them together, and that's what creates the service connection. So the concussion would be the in-service event. That does not necessarily mean that you have a traumatic brain injury. You would need to get diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury, and then depending on the span of time, you might need to seek a medical nexus. Often you will have to get a medical nexus, and that's a really great thing to talk to your coach about, identifying which of those service elements you have met. Right, so you get with a coach, they look over your records, you do a strategy call and identify what elements you have met and what elements are missing, and develop the strategy to get there.
Yeah, definitely. And I did also want to add, excuse me, something that I read on MDME that really stuck with me is that the TBI it is unique, right? It's I'll read it from where I read it. So the brain controls every function in the entire body, whether it be voluntary or involuntary. TBI can affect one, many, or all functions of the body depending on the location and severity of TBI. Because of the vast variety of problems TBI can cause, each case of TBI is unique. So that's where we were talking about um, uh, how it's unique, right? Donnie's case may differ, but still be similar to somebody else's case, just because of the unique uh, in stressor event, symptoms directly after, or you know that are onset years later. So a lot of factors come into play, but when you talk to your coach, you can kind of dissect that, and like Donnie said, get some of that collusive triangle filled in with that current diagnosis and that nexus if needed.
I'm gonna take a look at this. Don Lombard. In 1976, I was running out of the barracks after someone. When I got to the door, I was clothesline collapsing my larynx and knocked me out for 6+ minutes. I hit the concrete steps. The VA said it was service related for my larynx at 0%. My VA eye doctor asked if I was hit in the head because my right eye has no motor control to open for them to test it. Could it have been from that fall? I'm not a medical professional, but I would say that it is possible. Um, it is possible that you suffered a TBI. I know in 1976 we knew very little about traumatic brain injury. We have really just started um, figuring that out here. I want to say like the last 20 something years, getting deeper into that, figuring out the effects it has on the body, identifying those things. Don, like I was saying before, I would go in and ask for a TBI consult and get evaluated and see about it. And then, and even if not a TBI, you can get evaluated for your eye and what other residuals you might be. So even if you don't come out necessarily with a traumatic brain injury, you still have an in-service event, right? So maybe you don't have it. Maybe you don't get a TBI diagnosis, but if you have another diagnosis that can be related to that event, you don't need it to go through the TBI route. You can get that service connected based on the injury you sustain, right? Um, when it starts that current diagnosis, and that's one of the great things about working with the coach because you identify the best strategy. And I always tell my veterans, we're going to get you the rating in the service connections that you deserve, but maybe not necessarily the ones you want. You know, so I see a lot of times veterans want to spin their wheels, chasing these 0% conditions, and also they can get treatment for those, but they're sitting on claims that might be 50, 70, or even 100%. And I see those. I'm like, hey, why don't you go after this one claim that's going to get you compensation and medical treatment and maybe to 100% permanent in total, instead of chasing these 0% that are only going to get you treatment for that single condition. Like, would you rather have all of your health care or only some of your health care? And that's where working with a coach really comes in handy because we're here to coach you to do what's best for you, right? Um, and not spend a lot of time spinning your wheels and chasing things that are just not going to be beneficial.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Run into the same scenarios myself where veterans are really, uh, for instance, my leg. I hurt my leg. This is the only thing I'm worried about. And then you kind of do a little bit more research and talk to them about more things that are going on, and you uncover those possibilities, right? And then you explain to them, hey, let's do these first. We're definitely gonna, you know, take a look at the leg in a later time frame if needed. Um, you may not need it, right? Just like you said, it depends on um, where we can get you in the beginning with our strategy, and then at the end of the day, you're going to be treated and you're going to be compensated. So, yeah, definitely.
Philip Gonzalez says, I was told my TBI wasn't within the 6 months from the evaluation date, so I don't have TBI. I could write a book of bad information that veterans have been told and bad information that I myself have been told. Uh, you know, and that's one of the valuable resources of also having a coach, someone who can get you accurate information. Um, I when I worked in higher education, I had a veteran come in, and she had not she was not using her education benefits, and she wanted to sign up for some of the other veteran services stuff we had, and I was like, why are you not using your education benefits? And because she was told that because of uh, she was because she was supply and didn't finish her term. She did 4 years, but she got medical discharge early. That she was not by a master sergeant. She not only wasn't going to get benefits, but didn't deserve them. And I was like, no, you qualify. Let's go with this. And so we got her using her education benefits. I don't know, for some people give bad information because they feel like they need to impress upon you that they know something. Some people, I feel like in the system, feel like they are paying you out of their own pocket, and they're not. I don't know what the incentive is for there to be so much bad information out there, but uh, it's uh, it's good to get good information, and a coach can help you with that.
Yeah, and also the coaches here, we're all a good team, right? We don't just deal with the veterans. We handle and go on with our day, right? We like to collaborate with each other, ask each other questions. We're all one team here, with the end goal of getting veterans what they deserve. So that's the main thing we shoot for sure.
So Ryan Vigil asks, can a cab help with TBI? So I'm assuming by cab you mean the combat action badge. Can a combat action badge help with TBI? It depends on why the badge was awarded. So if the badge was awarded for being struck by an IED or something to that effect, or another combat scenario in which you might suffer a head injury, then yes. If not, then in and of itself, it's probably not going to be enough to qualify for the in-service event.
But then also I want to clarify that that cab could be useful for other things. Definitely strategizing with your coach to uncover what that can be is definitely a plus, right? So a lot of people don't know that awards and badges can often help with certain claims. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. What do they do in a TBI test? Says Bob Renninger. They do a number of things. Um, they're going to have you walk and check your balance, stand, touch your nose, a whole lot of those things. They're going to do memory tests uh, to see if you have memory loss. Um, so the TBI exams are long. They go through a lot of stuff, and you might have you draw clocks that are set to a certain time. And no, you can't just draw a digital clock. It's got to be analog. They want to see the circle and how your lines line up. There's a number of different tests they do. It's a lengthy process. But I will tell you though, in the process of getting your TBI diagnosed and then seeking treatment, uh, it's more than just for rating and compensation purposes. It's good to identify and know why things are wrong with you, right? And maybe once you've identified that, then you can get more appropriate treatment targeted and get some relief. If you don't know, then it's harder to treat the issue, right? I learned a lot about myself in that process and why things are the way they are. Uh, and then so Ryan Goolsby says, "Do you guys help with claims from start to finish, or focus on getting increases?" We absolutely do it from start to finish, and or also do increases. We do both. Um, and again, that will be as Coach Eddie mentioned earlier, the SIM method, right? Strategy, education, medical evidence. So once you get signed up, you get assigned a coach. You will get a an email with instructions getting started. As of today, that will guide you to our new insider portal where everything is streamlined and uh, lots of information in there. It will set you out task by task. You're going to upload some documents, set up a time with your coach to review those documents, um, and develop a plan. And that plan might include a new claim that is a new service connection, or it might be an increase. It could be a supplemental claim, right? It could be uh, a claim where you're adding new and relevant evidence to um, make an argument against a prior decision. Maybe it's an HLR. Maybe you're doing an HLR with your coach, and he's pointing out how there was a decision that was made. It was um, factually or legally incorrect, and you're requesting a de novo review, and you prepare a legal argument and submit it with your HLR. There's a number of tools that at your disposal, and the coach is going to go through all those with you and determine the best route to get you where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely. I always try to definitely over prepare the veterans I I help out because the more they know about the process and what they're going through, the more successful they're going to be. And then it also opens you up to understanding that the there's no guarantee, right? it may get denied, just like you said, right? There may be something where they make a legal or factual mistake, but we don't give up, right? We look at that, we make an informed decision on what the next steps are going to be, and we educate the veteran on that, and then we move forward with it. So yeah, we definitely do uh, from start to finish, and then all in between for sure.
You know, claims go through a process that involves humans, and every time that happens, there's error. And perfectly good claims lose all the time. And it's knowing what to do next and taking the right course of action after that loss that's really important, right? That's really what you want to sit down with a seasoned coach and say, like, you know, I thought I had all everything together. You know, what is wrong? And then you can go through that information together, identify where the VA made their error, and then turn back around and get that service connection or get that increase. Um, without that knowledge, you're really kind of just uh, it's like shooting buckshot out of a shotgun as opposed to a sniper round. And you don't want to just be running around shooting buckshot, wasting all your time and energy and not making any progress. You want to take that one shot, one kill.
I like
And
that. I'm gonna use that. I like that. I just saw Richard Wagner. Good question. I had a concussion pre-military, then another concussion while in the army. Do I have a chance in being rated? So again, the concussion. First, we'll talk about that. Right, that's your in-service event. That's the event that happened. Like Donnie said, now you have to go get seen and possibly get diagnosed for the TBI. Um, Now, as far as you having one pre-military and then during the military, uh, the VA states that for a disability, you have to have, and correct me if I'm wrong, Donnie, but you either had to get it during military or it had to be aggravated because of the military. Um,
yeah, so if military aggravated the condition, so if it's at least as likely as not that the secondary concussion was the cause, or if not the cause, had aggravated any conditions that had started after the first, then that's grounds for service connection. Absolutely right, Eddie. Um, I'm gonna leave Cassandra here hanging. It's kind of off topic, but she says she was at Saginaw Hospital, gave her food that contained allergens, um, malpractice. So I will tell you that malpractice with the VA is very tough, very, very tough. I think it's considered an 1151 claim. Um, you would want to look at, what is the resulting condition? Is there a current condition? And then, um, maybe work with the coach to determine if that is a possible route to go. Um, and then they diagnosed you with something other than what the others had diagnosed you with. So, as far as mental health goes, and I wouldn't worry about that so much because uh, mental health diagnoses change over the course of time. You might go from having post traumatic stress disorder to having major depressive disorder, right? Because you're like dealing with all this trauma and stuff, and now you've like messed your life up a lot, and so you have massive depression, um, and those things evolve. Okay, and then maybe now you all your physical ailments are catching up to you. So you have an anxiety disorder due to known physiological conditions, right? You're just anxious all the time because you're in pain and you have to think about getting things done. You don't want to move. So your injuries now are exacerbating your mental health. So that those diagnoses can be fairly fluid, and you'll see uh, that oftentimes throughout the course of someone's processes, they their mental health um, service connection, the name of it will actually change, right? Like mine went from PTSD to PTSD with MDD, and you will see that evolve over the course of time a lot. And all the mental health conditions uh, are rated under the same 31 symptoms. And so, as Coach Eddie was talking about pyramiding earlier, right? Um, you can't be rated for separate mental health conditions. They get lumped together typically, and that's because they comprise of the same 31 symptoms, and you can't be separately rated for the same symptoms. I hope that gave some clarification.
Yeah, I always tell veterans that because that's one of the big concerns. I was diagnosed this, but now I'm diagnosed that. It's okay. It's going to change. Like you said, it's fluid. When your symptoms evolve, one doctor may have one diagnosis, for your current symptoms, right? So the important thing to understand is always speak to your symptoms.
Exactly. Um, and that kind of goes the same with TBI too, as far as mental health. And mental health is always going to be one of those claims that you prepare when you prepare your TBI claim. Like I said before, whenever you approach mental health, you're going to be preparing um, a. Well, can we get that link up there again? Cassandra said she'd like to get with a coach. Um, you're going to be preparing multiple claims, right? And sometimes, when you're working with a coach, you might identify that TBI is not the best route because TBI can be difficult. So you might take that in-service event, that head injury, and identify a number of conditions that you can pursue without pursuing a TBI, right? Because that's still an event. You still suffered an injury, so you can use that as your in-service event. And maybe instead of the TBI route, you go straight for the migraines due to that, or you go straight to a cervical strain. One of my TBI injuries messed my neck up, so maybe you go straight to a cervical strain. Maybe after that cervical restraint gets connected, you have some radiculopathy out there, right? Like these are all things that you're going to work with a coach and identify the best practices, the best order, and connect them. And it's really invaluable the time you save and having that direct approach and knowing what to do. Let's see. Cynthia says, my husband's VA PTSD therapist sent him to a neurologist who uncovered an old bleed of undetermined date. A Purple Heart awarded due to having barracks blown up while inside. The TBI bleed be related to attack or to numerous helicopter accidents while the helicopter ground maintenance crew, chief, gunship, door, gunner. It is possible. I mean, it is possible. Again, I'm not a doctor, so that if he's got a current diagnosis, then it would probably want to start looking at building that nexus and figuring out if a physician thinks it's at least as likely as not that the TBI is related to any of those or all of those incidents, right? The you know it can it a TBI can be from multiple incidents. Maybe it starts here and just continues to get worse. I have a friend who is not allowed to work for the rest of his life because he was near so many concussive blasts that sometimes he just nods off. And in his scenario, there is not a single incident that caused his TBI. It was the culmination of just the poundings from the concussive blast time and time and time again. Um, So sometimes it's not possible to identify a single focal point or point in which you incurred a TBI, but it is at least as likely as not that the culmination of head traumas that you received over a number of years led to a current condition in which you have brain trauma.
Yeah, and again, TBI being that unique uh, case, every case is different with the TBI. Every stressor event is different with the TBI. So um, that's things that a lot of people have to uh, take consideration of, and also, like you said, getting with the coach and seeing if that's the best course of action or if there's maybe a better path of least resistance for something else that you can go for, and that's the kind of advantage that we bring to the table for sure.
David White says, I'm on board with Cassandra. I want to connect with a coach. Curious if y'all have ever helped ex paratroopers. We have ex uh, paratroopers on staff. Um, one of my my friends I deployed with twice. He both Ranger Sapper. Um, we have a number of Ranger qualified coaches. We have um, dealt with plenty of paratroopers. I have a number of clients that are special forces. I have a client. Actually, we just got him to 100%. He was in Restrepo. I don't know if you saw that documentary, but he was there. Um, we we have the experience to serve them all. If you served, we can serve you.
And that goes to Bob also. Uh, we don't have specialized coaches for Vietnam veterans, but we do have all our coaches that deal with every veteran of any time frame. And like I said before, uh, if a coach doesn't know something, they're going to go to their cohort and discuss it so that we can get the best outcome for the veteran. So we all talk and we all learn from each other for sure.
And even if I think I know something, but I want a second opinion, I'm going to reach out to someone else and say, hey, I want you to put your eyes on this and tell me if what your opinion is. And I won't tell them my first. I don't want them to influence their input. And then I get the feedback, and I'm like, okay, a lot of times it's okay. Well, that's what I was thinking too, or maybe I get a different opinion, and I'm like, okay, well, why are you thinking this? And let's figure it out where we're at here. Um, I'm a firm believer that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Um, and that's our mentality around here. We all work together. We value each other's skills and resources, and help each other out. It's a team. It's a team around here. Teamwork makes the dream work. And so the question about the Vietnam veterans, yeah, I've had a lot of Vietnam veterans. The Just had one not too long ago. He was a longtime client, great guy. Got him to 100%, and it's a game changer. It's a game changer. That I especially like working with Vietnam veterans because I feel like uh, that's how I can say welcome home.
Right. Yeah, and I've also had a good amount of Vietnam veterans I've helped out um, from every branch of service: Navy, Army, Marine, Air Force, um, and they all have their unique stories, and we're able to get those stories out to get what they deserve. So yeah, definitely an all around team effort. I did see Ivan. How and where can I get a Nexus letter? So Ivan, that would be something that if you sign up in the elite program and get with your coach, and that's the route that you guys believe is the best route, they would be able to refer you for something like that.
And one more thing on that, the Vietnam veteran question. I am actually really excited about this insider portal we just launched, because that's going to make it so much easier for those Vietnam veterans. It's going to really streamline our process, make it easier for them to access information and navigate the resources. Super excited about that.
Yeah, it's just starting at kind of playing around with it today and using it. It's exciting because you know that the veteran you're working with is going to get one single sign on, and they're going to be able to communicate with you and share with you information with that one portal. So it's going to be very intuitive and very um, one-stop shop kind of thing for sure. And Donnie, I think before we run out of time, I don't know if we want to mention some of the classes that we offer throughout the week. I could bring them up real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, just so everybody knows, every Wednesday we do have a Facebook Live, different topics. We also have um, live classes that we offer throughout the week. Um, Most of the time, they go throughout the whole week. Sometimes, if it's a holiday, um, they may be uh, blanked out, but for the most part, 8 a.m. Central, we have coffee with coaches, and then throughout the week we have different types of classes as far as Mental Health Monday, CMP prep classes, Q&A classes, so that if you're a member, you're able to join these classes and get involved and understand, um, what specific, criteria you're in. And what I like to do with my vets is I tell them, we're at this certain stage. I recommend you go to this class and this class, and they get really good uh, information off of it, and I get good feedback as far as them attending those classes. So just wanted to mention that too, if you're a member.
Yeah, and something else more than just the getting through your disability process. Um, it's a community. There's a sense of community. These classes, you come in and you make you make friends. You hang out with vets. At first you see people come in and they're kind of quiet and they have their camera off and they just sit back and listen. And you start seeing their name, and the next thing you know, they're asking questions. Their camera's on, and then you know where um, you know this person is from, that person is from. Uh, whether they just had a grandkid or a kid. And you get that sense of community with veterans that you might not be able to get elsewhere. And it also makes you more comfortable to open up and ask hard questions about about your symptoms, your disabilities. And there is no replacement for being in there and just getting exposed to knowledge over and over again. You don't know what you don't know. You might not have the right question to ask, and being in there getting exposed really does help with all that.
So I did see one question from Ryan. He said, "Do you need a Nexus letter for a presumptive condition if you meet all the presumptive requirements?" Good question. So presumptive, if you meet the presumptive criteria, technically you do that is your Nexus, right? Um, and what I usually do is I tell my veteran, "Let's go for it." Um, if they deny, which by the way they sometimes do, even though you meet the presumptive criteria, then that's when we talk about possibly going for a Nexus. Donnie, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, no, I agree. So the presumptive condition is designed so if you meet all the requirements outlined in the CFR, that you should not need a nexus letter. Uh, Again, we'll go back to that thing I was talking about before. The VA is has humans involved in the process, and I see bad denials all the time. They're not consistent with the law, not consistent with the evidence presented, um, and at that point, you might need a nexus letter. Another scenario is maybe you filed for this back in the day and didn't file for it properly or this and that. And sometimes, um, to reopen that claim that was denied previously, you need new and relevant evidence. And that might come in the form of a nexus letter. So kind of the same thing Eddie was saying, but instead of a recent denial, it might be an old denial, you might in that scenario need one too.
We had some pretty good questions today.
Yeah, you guys have some great questions.
Trying to look through to see if we missed any.
Oh, somebody here. Yeah, one of our questions. They were talking about some helicopters. Didn't you have some helicopter experience, Eddie?
I did. I did. I had a couple hard landings too.
Did you?
I did. Um, yeah, definitely. When I got out, the first thing I thought of was my back, because just sitting with all that equipment and just sitting there for hours, definitely does a toll on your spine. Uh, so luckily, I was connected for that right away.
Yeah, I would imagine the attention to detail that being on a helicopter takes would be pretty stressful too.
Yeah, it's a little stressful. It's busy in there. Sometimes you forget you're flying.
Yeah, I can only imagine. The as we're coming here to the top of the hour, I just want to say thanks, Eddie. You're a pleasure to do this with. You're always good to work with, my man. And thanks to all our veterans who actively participated, asking us questions. Um, we're here for you guys, and we're here to bring knowledge and expertise, serve the best we can. Uh, and if you feel like you need that and you want help with your process, you want to take a targeted direct approach uh, that gives you the highest probability in winning your claims process, then um, reach out. It's uh, it's a win-win scenario. There's uh, only ever a fee if you get an increase. Like that's a good thing. You celebrate, like literally celebrate. Like, hey, everyone's happy. And there is, in my mind, no better way to go through this process. It's the difference between walking down a dark alley alone and walking down a dark alley uh, with your team ready to kick in doors, locked and loaded, and someone's got your six, and someone's got your front, and we're placing charges on that door, waiting for it to blow and come in. All right, it's always better to do that with your team than it is alone, and we're that team for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and thank you, Donnie. Always a pleasure doing classes with you, and you have infinite amount of knowledge. Very awesome to be here with you, and everybody. Thanks for joining. Definitely get a hold of somebody on those links that we provided, so that you, if you're interested, can get some more information and possibly sign up. And we'll definitely look forward to hopefully meeting with you guys.
There we go. So there's that 30-minute discovery call. Sign up, talk to someone about how our process works, uh, and if you're just ready to sign up, you can do that too. Look forward to seeing you guys. We have a brand new portal. It's a good time to join. Lots of streamlined information, brand new process, and it's not too late to become an insider. Thank you all. Thanks for coming out.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.